My boss fired me, saying I was replaceable. Now he's begging me to save his business. I gave everything to my job. Long hours, extra projects, even covering for my incompetent boss when he screwed up. I wasn't just an employee, I was the one keeping the business running. Then one day, out of nowhere, my boss called me into his office with a smug look on his face and said, "You're replaceable. We're letting you go." Just like that. No warning, no appreciation, nothing. Fine. If that's how he wanted to play it, I wouldn't fight it. But I knew something he didn't. This company, it couldn't survive without me. And when everything started falling apart, guess who came crawling back, begging me to save his business? Let's just say, I made sure he regretted every damn decision. Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. I had been working at this company for years. I wasn't just another employee, I was the guy who kept everything running. If there was a problem, I fixed it. If a client was unhappy, I smoothed things over. When my boss made mistakes, I covered for him. So, when he called me into his office one afternoon, I wasn't expecting anything out of the ordinary. Maybe a new project, maybe another one of his half-baked ideas that I'd have to clean up later. Instead, he leaned back in his chair, smug as hell, and hit me with, "We're making some changes around here, and unfortunately, we're letting you go." I blinked. "What?" He sighed like he was so inconvenienced by my confusion. "Look, you're a good worker, but the truth is, this company doesn't need you. You're replaceable." Replaceable. The word hit me like a slap. After everything I had done for this place, after years of busting my ass to keep it afloat, he thought I was replaceable? I sat there for a moment, just staring at him. I could have argued. I could have reminded him of all the times I had saved his ass. But then I realized something. I didn't need to, because this company, it couldn't function without me. If he wanted to play this game, fine. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to argue. I just gave him a small smile and said, "All right, I hope you're ready for what comes next." He smirked, thinking he had won. He had no idea he had just set himself up for the biggest failure of his life. I walked out of that office without looking back. No begging, no pleading, no last-minute attempt to prove my worth. He thought I was replaceable? Let's see how well he did without me. I spent the next few weeks enjoying my freedom. I had saved up enough money to take a break, so I wasn't scrambling for a new job. Instead, I took some time to relax, reconnect with friends, and catch up on all the things I had put off while working overtime for a boss who never appreciated me. But even as I was moving on, rumors started reaching me. At first, it was little things. Clients complaining about missed deadlines, new hires struggling to keep up, small but noticeable cracks forming in the business. Then, it got worse. The company was bleeding money, projects weren't getting done on time, and clients were pulling contracts left and right. The so-called replacement they hired to do my job? A complete disaster. Turns out, I wasn't so replaceable after all. Then, one day, I got a text from a former coworker. Coworker, "Dude, you're not going to believe this. Boss is losing it. He's been screaming in meetings all week." I laughed. Good. He had been so confident, so sure that he could cut me loose without consequences. Now, he was drowning. But he wasn't desperate enough yet. Not until he picked up the phone and called me. And that's when I knew. I had all the power now. It started with a single missed call from my former boss, then another, then 10 more. I ignored every single one. Then came the text messages. "Boss, hey, can we talk?" "Boss, I think we got off on the wrong foot. Let's discuss an opportunity." "Boss, call me back as soon as possible. It's urgent." Urgent? Oh, now it was urgent? The same guy who told me I was replaceable was suddenly begging to talk. I could only imagine how bad things had gotten. Just as I was about to leave him on red again, I got a message from another coworker. Coworker, "Dude, he's desperate. He's literally having breakdowns in meetings. It's bad." That's when I knew I had let him sweat long enough. I finally picked up when he called again, and the moment he heard my voice, he dropped the smug attitude. "Listen," he started, his tone completely different from the last time we spoke. We need to talk. The company is in trouble. I leaned back in my chair, smiling. Oh? I thought I was replaceable? He let out an awkward chuckle. Yeah. Look, I might have miscalculated. Things aren't the same without you. I was hoping we could work something out. Work something out? This man fired me without warning, let his company fall apart, and now he wanted me to swoop in and save him? Oh, this was going to be fun. All right, I said, pretending to think about it. Let's meet and discuss. Little did he know, I had no intention of coming back as his employee. If he wanted my help, it was going to cost him. A lot. We met at a high-end cafe, the kind of place he wouldn't normally step foot in unless he was trying to impress someone. But today, he was the one trying to impress me. The moment he sat down, I could tell he was nervous. His suit was a little disheveled, his tie slightly loosened, and there were dark circles under his eyes. This man was stressed. So, I said, stirring my coffee, what's the problem? He cleared his throat. Look, I'll be honest with you. Things haven't been the same since you left. No kidding. Clients are pulling out, deadlines are being missed, and, well, I might have underestimated how important you were to the company. Ah, there it was, the admission of defeat. So, what are you asking me? I leaned back, making him spell it out. He sighed, clearly hating that he had to do this. I need you to come back. I'll offer you a raise, a better title, whatever it takes. Just come back and help me fix this. I almost laughed. Come back? As his employee? Oh, hell no. That's not going to work for me, I said, keeping my tone calm. His face twisted in confusion. What do you mean? You want more money? Fine, name your price. I shook my head. You don't get it. I'm not coming back as an employee. If you want my help, we do it on my terms. He frowned. What are you suggesting? I smiled. It was time to flip the script. You're not hiring me back. You're hiring my consulting firm. You want me to fix your mess. You'll pay me triple my old salary, up front, on a contract basis. No benefits, no long-term commitments, just cold, hard cash. His mouth literally fell open. Triple? He choked. Take it or leave it, I shrugged. Oh, and one more thing. You don't get to boss me around. I'll tell you what needs to be done, not the other way around. He looked like he was swallowing glass. The same guy who smugly told me I was replaceable was now desperate enough to pay me a fortune just to keep his company from sinking. And the best part? I wasn't even done yet. He sat there, blinking like his brain was short-circuiting. Just a few weeks ago, he was so sure I wasn't worth keeping around. Now, he was about to pay me triple just to get me back. Triple is insane, he finally said, forcing a laugh. Be reasonable. I took a sip of my coffee. I am. You're the one who's desperate. He clenched his jaw, looking like he was trying not to explode. Good. Let him feel just a fraction of the frustration I felt when he blindsided me with that firing. Fine, he said, exhaling sharply. I'll pay you up front. I cut him off. I don't trust you to follow through. I want the first payment before I lift a finger. That hit him hard. He hated not having control. I could see it in the way he shifted in his seat, trying to figure out a way to get the upper hand. But there was no way out of this. This is extortion, he muttered. I grinned. No, this is business. You fired me. You called me. These are my terms. I could practically hear the gears grinding in his head. He knew he had no other choice. If I walked away, his company would completely collapse. After a long pause, he sighed in defeat. Fine, I'll have accounting wire the money today. There it was. Victory. But I wasn't done yet. One more thing, I added casually, leaning forward. He visibly tensed. What now? I don't take orders from you anymore. I'll handle things my way. And if you so much as micromanage me, the deal is off. No refunds. His face twisted in frustration, but at this point, he was completely at my mercy. He nodded stiffly. Fine, I smiled, standing up. Pleasure doing business with you? He didn't say anything. He just sat there, seething, while I walked out, knowing full well that I had won. But the best part? I was about to fix his business in a way that made sure I would always have the upper hand. The first thing I did after securing my massive upfront payment was take my sweet time. I didn't rush back in to save his sinking ship immediately. I let him sweat. Meanwhile, I carefully studied the damage. It was worse than I expected. Projects were falling apart. Clients were furious, and the new hires they brought in to replace me, they were clueless. Some had already quit, and the ones who stayed were just making things worse. The best part? I didn't even need to do much. All I had to do was restore the structure I originally put in place. Within weeks, things started to turn around, but everyone in the office knew the truth. I was the one holding the business together. And the boss? Oh, he hated it. He had no choice but to shut up and let me work. But every time I walked into the office, I could feel his rage simmering under the surface. He went from being the powerful CEO to a man completely dependent on the guy he threw away. One day, he tried to flex some authority on me, stopping me in the hallway. "You know," he said, forcing a smile, "you're doing a great job, but I'd appreciate it if you kept me in the loop more. I still run this company after all." I turned to him and smirked. "Do you?" He stiffened. He knew the truth. Without me, this place was done, and I wasn't done rubbing it in. I could tell my boss hated how much control I had, but he couldn't do a damn thing about it. He had backed himself into a corner when he begged me to return, and now he had to sit there and take it. But I wasn't done making him regret every single decision. Once I had fully stabilized the company and restored its reputation, I put my final plan into motion. See, while I was consulting, I had been quietly building my own connections. Clients who loved my work, I kept their contact information. Employees who were frustrated with the toxic leadership, I paid attention. Then, when I knew the company was back on its feet, I did something that completely shattered him. I quit. Not just that, I took half of his best employees with me. I had spent months proving that I was the real reason things worked. The moment I left, they followed me. And the best part, I didn't just leave him struggling. I started my own company. I took my experience, my skills, and my reputation, and built something better, without an incompetent boss breathing down my neck. And guess what? Clients came to me. Not all, but enough. Enough to make sure my new business took off while his fell apart. Again. Part 8. My perfect revenge. It didn't take long for the news to spread. His company was in trouble again. Losing clients was one thing, but losing his top talent, that was a death sentence. I got a final text from him. "Boss, you're a real piece of work, you know that? After everything I did for you." I laughed. After everything he did for me, he fired me like I was nothing. He thought I was replaceable. And now, he was watching me succeed while his business burned. I didn't even bother replying. Instead, I focused on my own company, my own success, my own future. And every time I saw a new client sign on with me, every time I saw an old coworker thriving in my business instead of his, I smiled. Because I won. And he lost everything. What do you think? Have you ever had a boss treat you like you were replaceable, only to realize they made a huge mistake? Drop your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And if you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more insane Reddit-style stories. See you in the next one.